You know what it is? You know who I am? Because it says, doesn't it? And that's Greg Winfield. So he's been on here before when it was called Professionally Non-Epstein. So go and check out those episodes. That's what I'd say. Last September and last June, because I've got a bit of an autistic brain for this stuff. We discussed Down syndrome cats, I remember, for a while.
Is it fair? Well, how come there was a name change, by the way?
Well, I thought, because coming up to Christmas, I thought I'm going to make a bit more of an effort with it. And I thought at some point, the great algorithmic gods might be upset that my podcast named after an international sex offender and trafficker. So I thought it's funny. You know, it's a great name. I think George came up with the name. But, you know, I thought, the logo was Epstein's face. And then, well, at some point, it's probably going to get fucking shadow banned or something. So I changed it to this, which is what I called a terrible open mic that I ran once. And if I do anything again, I'll also keep the name. So I'll keep everything the same.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. That's the entire backstory. And I'm going to open this beer because I've got a fucking hangover.
Fair.
There we go. So all communication is good. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I suppose from a self-indulgent point of view, my big news is I've gone pro, Carl. I quit my job.
Fuck me. There we
I've
go.
been a professional comedian for 2 weeks.
For 2, and is it all good?
It's fine. Anyone can do it for a fortnight. But yeah, no, it's I'm very it's going all right. It's going all right.
Nice.
I waited a long time to do it. And it's never going to feel like, you know, the world's most sensible idea, but it did feel like necessary. So I got it done, basically. We'll see what happens.
If you're serious about it, I think it has to happen at some point, isn't it? At least mostly.
I think so. Yeah, you get to a point where you're compromising on comedy, and you know, after a while, you're like, well, what do I want to really do? I don't really want to be a civil servant in a decade. I wouldn't mind being a comedian now. It's not quite that simple, is it? But at the end of the day, like, you can either do the thing that lets you do gigs, or you can do the thing that gets in the way of you doing gigs. And all this kind of ludicrous, oversimplified justification will make you make terrible financial decisions in the middle of a crisis. So yeah, it's good. I've just stopped watching the news, basically.
I'm fucking out. I haven't watched the news in years. I watched it a bit at the start of COVID, and then I just didn't give a shit about that after 8 months of it. I'm on Twitter, so I see stuff there, but that's it. I don't click anything newsy. I don't want to know I don't even want to know who the Prime Minister. I don't care. Do what you want, guy. I need to get up and make myself fucking breakfast in the morning and find money.
Exactly. It doesn't actually change a lot. I know that's a tad nihilistic, but I get my news from the little notifications that I get a sentence of news off of my iPhone every few hours. And today it has been basically, my iPhone telling me that someone is smiling at the Jubilee and someone doesn't look happy, and that Prince Andrew won't turn up because he's got COVID, and that's the reason he won't be at the celebration.
Did he catch it from Nonce and a kid? Did they have a cough?
They did. I'll be honest. That's the joy of only getting a sentence. You know what I mean? I just get the headline. I just get the really important headline that a child looks unhappy at a large state function, and that's enough for me.
I was very, very happy to find. I forgot about the Jubilee until yesterday because I've not been there.
Yeah,
I knew it was soon.
Brazil was never one of ours, was it?
No, Portugal. I think
they got there first.
We interfered a little bit in some way a couple of years ago, but it wasn't. We never had anything to do with it. That's why no one speaks English, and it's lovely.
Nice.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. It's a guy I know called Andy Baker, hack. One of the Stanhope crew, actually, but he's from Nottingham. He tweeted about the Jubilee yesterday, and I was like, "This is the first I've heard." He was complaining about how many people were talking about it online. And it's even if I was in the UK, though, it'd just be a couple of days off, and we can all go down the pub.
That's another. I should not have quit my job before a series of bank holidays. That was dumb, wasn't it? But there we go.
Enjoy the weekend. So what? Have you got a agent or something that's booking you stuff?
I haven't. I haven't, to be honest. Which is not unheard of. There's quite a few that go without, or that have had agents and smacked them off.
It might be helpful to have an agent, but I also think that there's less and less need for them. Do you know what I mean? And if you can get all your admin and find gigs and all that, you haven't got to give 12% of whatever you're earning to some fucking worm.
Well, I'm sure some of them are very nice people.
Some are very nice worms.
If there's any out there that feel the need for another one of these on their roster,
yeah.
I'm open to offers. But yeah, a lot of people that I work with, they have that have had or have agents have usually got, a few issues with it, and they end up booking a lot of their own work anyway. And you
don't need to send them anything. If you don't sign any silly contract with the maniac that tries to tie you into everything. Just like, if you book me gigs, you can have a fee for that. If I'm booking 100 gigs, you're not having anything.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it depends what you want. You've got to have a clear plan. Like, what do you want from your agent? Do you want them to get you on the telly? Do you want to be touring theaters? Do you want to just be working constantly and you don't care where? Like, there's a million uses for an agent. As long as you've both got the same idea about what you want, then fair enough. As long as it works for you both, I can see them being very valuable, because it is a pain doing the admin. And they've already got
the network set up, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
and all that stuff. So
yeah, a lot of them have. It's sort of vertical integration almost with a lot of the bigger ones. They've got their own nights, they've got their own clubs, they've got their own roster, and they do it that way, which is nice. But as I get in on those gigs now, touch wood. So all is well. All is well.
Very nice. Yeah. No, I hadn't been following anything. I've heard from a couple of comics, but I hadn't followed anything. But it's nice to hear, because you've got to have a think sometimes. How long have I been doing it? 5, 6, 7 years. I can look at people that started after the pandemic and they're getting paid work all the fucking time. It's like, okay, people that have been in it a while, and if you're serious, you should be able to, every year sit down and go, right, I want to do better things this year. I want to do better gigs. Someone give me some fucking money, wherever the camera is.
Yeah. Well, you got to. Again, all of this is second-hand received wisdom from people far more experienced than me, so hopefully it has value. But you got to go into things with a defined kind of goal, really. Even an individual gig or whatever. Why am I doing this gig? Am I doing it because it's for a good promoter who I want to see me do well? Am I doing it for the money? Am I doing it because I've got new material that genuinely does need working out? And you got to start. It sounds really lame, but you got to really remember it's a job. Because it's weird having a job that you love, so you do stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And you got to be. This sounds really bad as well. You got to start being careful about the gigs you're seen to be doing and stuff like that. Because if you're saying I have value, i.e., pay me some money to do the thing that I love doing, you can't keep doing it for free. Or you can't be seen to be traveling 100 miles to do a new material night and that kind of thing. But also, you've got to do all that stuff at the start properly to get to a position where you can, and they're always going to have that bit of worry of, have I got this wrong in my head? Am I not read? You know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. But yeah, everyone's going to have their own sort of level of security where they feel like, I've been making enough for long enough that I can take the chance to have this as my main source of income or whatever. Or, I've whittled my life down so ludicrously that I have no one and nothing that I'm responsible for, and therefore the risk is solely mine. Then, that helps. None of this should be construed as advice. There you go.
Yeah, I've also previously destroyed, entire lives that I've had. And it is nice to whittle down. Like I said, I'm even though I'm in Brazil, I'm kind of in the process of moving. So I'm just figuring out where I want to live. And the primary focus for me is comedy, to be honest. I do want to be a bit closer to my family because they're old. Well, my parents are old, but I want to, I don't know, it's not the main concern. I mean, they live close to London, but in the countryside. But I could literally pick fucking wherever, Manchester, somewhere in between London and the South Coast or whatever. So I've got 5 or 6 places in my head now, but I'm just trying to think through while I'm out there.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it makes a massive difference where you live, 100%. To what you've got access to in terms of scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff was tough. I mean, obviously, I spent a lot of time in Bristol for the first few years, but then I started. The last 2 years, I've been going about a lot more in the South Coast, Birmingham, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I quite like the Midlands or the West Midlands. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice crowd up there. The Hollybush has their festival next month, Bush Fest, which is a free festival, but I've got. That's the only reason I'm coming back, to be honest. I've got some gigs booked. That's literally the only reason I'm coming back. Otherwise, I'd stay for another 3 months.
Yeah, man. But, is there an English speaking comedy scene in Brazil?
That is a good question. Not really. So about 2 weeks ago, someone, Napa actually from New York, said that why don't I look for a gig? So I'm challenging myself to do a gig here, right? Just one.
Yeah, do it.
I've done some research. It's all fucking Portuguese speaking. They've got even Germans or Dutch, whatever they do. Their shows in Portuguese, but there is an English speaking show run from a city called Sao Paulo, patronising cunt, Sao Paulo. But he hasn't been posted on Instagram for about 5 months. But I'm going to start messaging clubs and comics in Portuguese, and I'll just say, look, what about it? What about an English night? What's going on? There must be. And even if there's no access to a club or something, there's got to be expats.
I was going to say, There's got to be an expat community. There's got to be somewhere they drink, or something like that.
Well, Rio and Sao Paulo for sure have got English pubs.
Yeah,
British pubs with, I don't know, Americans, British, Dutch.
There you go. Then, well, there's the gig. Yeah,
that's then the plan. I just need to find 3 or 4 comics out here. I must be able to do it. So I think this weekend I'm going to start just harassing people online, trying to find something. I think it'll be really fun to do anyway. You've just got to have an English speaking audience, so that's why the expat place will be good.
Yeah, 100%.
Brazilian humour's a bit. They've got a stand-up scene, but historically, up until quite recently, it's been quite slapstick or silly. Yeah. But there are a few comics. There's one called Rafinha Bastos. Rogan had it on a few years ago, but he did some really controversial stuff on TV about a pregnant celebrity or something. I don't know. He said, "I hope your baby died." I don't know, something like that. But it was huge Catholic country, and he got kind of ousted. The government were coming after him. But he does shows in Portuguese and English. But he's the only one I can think of that sort of. He does a lot of work in the States, I think.
Nice.
But that's the plan. So in the next, hopefully in June, I'll get to do at least one gig. And if you can find a nice little place, I'll try and do a couple of them, even if I have to put it on or do the work.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So I've got something in London on the 3rd of July. I can't even remember what it fucking is, but it is a free show, but it's also, I think, quite a good. It looks like a good room. Yeah, and I think I'm at the point at the moment where I'm trying to get good videos.
Yes.
Right. So I did one in London a couple of months ago, and they did it's a mic, but they do a lot of shows. I think it's called G&B.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. They the only reason I did it was to get a video because they film it and it looks good. Do you know what I mean? You're not. You haven't got a purple curtains and fucking old man behind you. So
it's done properly. Yeah, makes a massive difference. Good video, 100%.
Exactly. So I'm gonna have to trim a little bit of that because a couple of bits where I'm a bit shaky. And the audio isn't great, to be honest, but it's better than filming off a phone in the Hollybush or whatever.
Yeah, that's what. Me and a couple of people done, and we bought posh cameras with a decent mic. Because it's always going to be valuable, basically, to be able to capture stuff in a decent quality.
In Skankfest at the Legion of Skanks in the US, they were saying, because they take submissions from anyone, because a lot of festivals out there charge for a submission, but they don't. It's all free, and we'll give 10 spots to new comics, but they just said, please make a good video. Yeah. The advice they gave was actually pull the sound off the board and mic the audience, so you've got to have a bit of a better setup. Yeah, it just sounds so much better. Yeah, because if they get 1,000 submissions, if they turn on a video and it's this fuzzy fucking, they'll just turn it off.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way because I always wondered, do people really watch the clips you send? Everyone
I
asks
doubt,
for a
I
clip.
doubt they
I'm
watch
like,
them
do you?
all.
Like, yeah, because I put one out for a gig I run, and I got 186 submissions. I spent a day actually watching it, and like even like real good comedians that I know I like, you watch the videos and you're like, this is immediately 50% worse just because of the experience of watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've seen like Comedy Central doing this thing. Like Ian Smith, who's really really good. He's a really good comic. Who came to my gig to headline, and he was amazing. Yeah, he absolutely ripped it apart. Like, and then I watched this Comedy Central thing a few weeks before where they basically got loads of comics to do 5 spots, and then they put that out through their YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Same material, they absolutely gutted it. Like, it was just through the way they shot it, the way it was recorded, the ambience of the room, the fact that it was just shot and edited in the way they did it. They ruined all of it and made amazing bits like not look good. And this is not to say anything bad about like I said, Ian Smith is a legend, and if you watch it, it's still really good. And I'm not stupid. I know live comedy's better live, obviously, but just the experience of just people fucking around with what is already a finished and edited product, I will never understand. So someone's clip of their own is actually sometimes even better to watch than something that some professional editor has played around with, because like the editing was done. They did that in the writing and the performing and the re-performing, and you know what I mean? That's all been done before. So you leave that material alone, because if as soon as you touch it, you're not going to make it better. And that even if it's just cut to the audience laughing or whatever, like I don't know, it's weird. It's just an odd experience. So yeah, the better your video is, the better, 100%. But it comes down to, can I hear what you're saying? Because you if you watch enough, you end up having to look at it sort of clinically. Like, I can tell that there is a quality to what this person's saying that will translate live. That will do for evidence. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I was sat there laughing at all. But it's a fucking horrible experience to go through 100 clips, 98 of which are fairly ropey. You know what I mean? But
it's a lot in it. Yeah, comics speak about even like pro specials and stuff. They often will hire a proper editor and stuff, like a Netflix thing. But the comic needs to be involved in the whole thing.
Yes.
Because the editor could go, I'm just going to cut this small noise out, and say, no, that might make it the bit, that weird little thing you've got in between something might change it completely. So you've got to try and be on it and have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I watched two. I think there are 2 Jeselnik specials on Netflix. I watch them back to back. One of them amazing in terms of just they let him be. Like, sure, they had some mid shots and some close ups and stuff like that. Fine, but they pretty much just let him be, and they just filmed his face delivering the stuff as if you were sat there looking up, watching him do it. And the other one, they're all over the shop, and I'm sure both are equally good specials. But one where they leave him alone, you just laugh more. Like, you just find it funnier. You're just more invested in what he's saying. Because I don't know. Maybe it's me being old.
I prefer.
I need the opposite, but
I always think about things technically now, like how they film and stuff, and as well as the jokes and stuff. But I always prefer now. Does it look like I could be sat in this room? I want to enjoy the comic. I don't want to look at a fat guy laughing. That's probably cut from a different joke anyway. That
it is
put in there.
It always is.
So I just want to enjoy it as a show. I think the best, even when stuff's filmed, I like it when it's in a small room. You still get good stuff. Like Bird did his last special in the Albert Hall. I went to that filming, but it's still great. But the way it's shot, they had a really good director that made it look quite intimate as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best. I like to sit back with a beer or whatnot and just think, put my head being in there. I went to see Tim Dillon in April in London. They had a comic called Sam Talent supporting him. He's written a great book about stand-up called Running the Light. But they were both really good. But I actually found myself not laughing that much watching it. But it was more, I was just thinking about the jokes. I was just thinking about fucking that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like how you got out of that. It was weird because I thought being London and stuff, you think the audiences might react badly to some over the line stuff, but actually they were pretty good. They went weirdly quiet in weird places you wouldn't expect. It was like, I think Dylan at one time, he stopped and then he went, anyway, trans kids. And then the audience went, and then he just did some good bits. It wasn't even, because on his podcast, he goes way, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to see Tim Dillon, it seems crazy to me that you would, that you wouldn't just be on board.
I guess half the audience might be someone's girlfriend or boyfriend,
date or whatever, but
but no, he won because it's nice. I was watching the people around me as well, watching him win people around, like people who start like, oh my god, and then by the end they're laughing.
Yeah,
but you could see. I think America just has a better model that you can see. They get to perform more, right? And I think even earlier on there are way more opportunities for paid gigs. You can just see the professionalism in it, like how good the way he was just sort of putting bits together and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just sat there sort of marveling at that. Really, I'm obviously good English comics, but I think it's harder. We're a smaller place. There's less gigs, even though it feels like there's 1,000 on every night.
Yeah.
And it's harder to get out. I think in the States, you get up to an hour quite quickly, and then you can go and do that, you know, at a shit club for a while until you get promoted to better ones. It's just a bigger space, I guess. You got 50 states, which is like 50 countries essentially, right?
That's it. Yeah, I'm very jealous when I hear about all the like the tough grind years in America where people are flying to gigs every weekend. And you're like, because you realize, there's just gonna be thousands and thousands more. I'm sure thousands and thousands more comics as well, but like, it does seem to be it is, isn't it? It's a much larger pool. But,
I'd love to do something out there, and it's I might be able to. I'm probably going to go out there at some point. I might be going to a comedy festival just to be there in October. I'm not sure. And I might go out there and just do some mics while I'm out there just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
But I think there might be more opportunities to get something out there. It's a long way to go, obviously, but if you can go out there for a little while,
100%,
it might be fun to go in. Because obviously, being British as well, we've got the lovely accent that they love. Hey Hank, how are you doing? Exotic, aren't we, out there?
In our own special way, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, you'll be on a late night chat show in a fortnight by the looks of things. Anyone who's not American seems to be fine.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that James Corden got that gig, right? We did it for like 6 years as well.
It's beyond my comprehension. But you know,
he was just the fat bloke in the sitcom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And as far as I know, never a comedian. Like I don't know, but he's just an actor, isn't he?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Certainly not one that I knew that he probably did an open mic or something and then got into acting. But obscene money in those kind of gigs as well, right?
I think so. I think that's all part of the. It's all part of the game out there, isn't it? Is network rivalries and who can, get who to, and I don't know. I wouldn't pretend to know anything about it, but it seems like a very odd thing. Interesting.
I do like what a few comics are doing. Some of the New York guys are just putting their specials straight on YouTube, and because they've got a following there. Shane Gillis was brilliant. Mark Norman, Sam Morrell, Joe List.
Shane Gillis is a really good example of one where technically you'd have to say it wasn't filmed well just because of the problems they had with the sound of the bar next door and stuff like that. But it made
a tiny club in Austin. Yeah,
it absolutely perfect. Yeah,
because that's
it was
how
one of the best things
comedy.
I've watched all year. Is that special? It is,
and you can tell he's genuinely nervous when he goes up because he's had a shit haircut. He just deals with it straight away. It's like,
I think he had one shot as well, didn't he? I think that makes a bit of difference because I think the way most comics do it is they do 2 back-to-back nights with the same shirt on or whatever, I think. And then
sometimes it's 3 or 4 gigs over 2 nights, and they have continuity guys to make sure you got a sweat patch in the right fucking place.
Yeah.
But I was impressed. I've heard good stuff about him anyway. Even he's supposed to be even better now because he's probably had that material for a while. Like everybody talks about Shane Gillis knows. Yeah, he's been fucking killing for years. He's just one of the best.
You can tell he's just inherently got whatever it is you're supposed to have. Yeah.
And personally, I think it's probably a good thing for him that he dropped an Asian slur on a podcast and got fired from SNL. I think that's probably going to work out better for him. He's going to have. Everything's going to. If he's on SNL, he's got to write within those framework, and he probably wouldn't get much on air anyway. Now he can just do whatever he wants. He's kind of in that. Well, everyone hated me for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Industry-wise,
who knows about these things? I think, that's the thing. As soon as it's a job as well, you realise I've got to be really careful how much I dedicate my time to one specific area. So. Do I just want to invest everything in the circuit, in the UK comedy circuit? Well, probably not, in all honesty. Like, plenty, yes. That's definitely going to be a large part of whatever it is. But you're going to have to really think about who you're relying on there. Like, if you have an agent or you don't, or if do you want to, who do you want to actually end up working for? Because obviously you're working for yourself, but not really. You're working for 3 dozen specific promoters who you all need. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's
weird, isn't it?
You're like, what am I saying this for? Like, is it what am I aiming for in terms of what I'm actually saying on stage? Is it just to be a bookable club act? Yes, definitely. It's definitely for that. But is that everything? Is that all? Yeah. It's a bit early days for that. Let's just worry about getting good. But
good to have a plan, though, isn't it? I think it's good to be flexible, and it's good to have plenty of fucking strings.
I think so.
You got a club. Yeah, you want to go to a club route because it's good money if you can get on the circuit. And to be honest with you, I worked behind the bar at Glee in Cardiff, and I tell you, that was one of the things that made me start comedy. Because I'd already been writing a while, I just didn't have the bollocks to go and do it. But I used to sit there and watch some of these. I don't even know any names, so I can't say any names. But I'm thinking, are you fucking serious? You're getting like 600 quid for that.
Yeah. You see the opposite almost as well. I see people who've got, in my mind, some of the best careers going in comedy, like real top tier comics who they've done their live at the Apollo. Maybe they've done it twice. They're getting, they've got their pick of work. It seems to me anyway, in a lot of ways. But then you meet them at a gig or whatever. God, some of them are very jaded, because of course it never stops the kind of what's next thing. Yeah. But also, like they, sometimes I get the impression anyway, just from a few people I met, that they feel a little bit like, that they're at the behest of something outside of their control, so that whilst they get all the opportunities, you think these are the ultimates, these are like some of the best things you can aim for, they're always looking at other people going like, so like the live at the Apollo guys, maybe they've been going 20 years, they're 20-year veterans, absolutely just destroy all over the place, and then they do their weekend club gigs and they're not happy, and they all they talk about is like the big podcast guys and stuff like that. They're like, oh, Adam Rose got 10,000 Patreon people or whatever. I mean, these are the guys that know how it works these days. Like they feel like they've done the old school get on the telly route, done it, and that's kind of now passed them by a little bit because Live at the Apollo gets 5% of the viewing figures it did at its peak or whatever. Yeah, pays a lot better than it used to, from what I hear. But it's not the overnight success. Get your own theatre tour, you're sorted for life. You'll be on everything forever that it used to be. And I think they see other people going down different routes because they've gone, well, maybe they don't see that as the one way into high tier comedy anymore. I'm being very boring.
Yeah, sorry. No. I didn't psych as you. I'm fucking just hard to turn this air back on. I agree. I think you can. But they getting into that. It's easy for me to say, but they've probably been banging their head against the same wall for 20 years. But all they need to do is to not think about anyone else and do a fucking podcast. And if they've got a little bit of a following off the telly, that'll be enough. They'll be able to make money from that straight away. You can't look at other people going, he's got 10,000, he's got 12,000. Because when you get to 10,000, you'll be looking at people who've got 20,000 or 100,000.
Well, exactly, yeah. I think the main thing is, are you what? Yeah, I think maybe this is a bit guesswork, but I think some of them like inevitably, I suppose, you end up compromising to be effective. So you want to be effective in every weekend club you go to throughout the year and be able to roll out the thing that you really want to say. You can't always do both, you know what I mean? So I've seen people have a really good time saying exactly what they want to say, not take their house down in some, rural corn exchange gig somewhere, but actually come off super happy. But they've got 20 years behind them and they know they're fine. They know they're financially going to be all right. They're not worried that they're going to get dropped or they're not going to get booked again. And then you see it, so I'm going to stop banging on about that. So I suppose I'm just, as someone who's in the very, very early stages of it all, there's a lot to be cautious of in terms of what do you want to end up? Where do you want to end up?
Do you want to be happy with what you've done? I hate to say it, art-wise. I hate it being called art, but you do want to it's your thing, isn't it? You don't want to have to compromise it too much.
And I don't know. Yeah, we'll see, won't we? I suppose. But that's why I think it. When you're saying watching Tim Dillon do his stand-up versus listening to him do his podcast and things like that, I imagine Tim Dillon feels a lot freer or feels a lot more confident maybe in his podcasting than his stand-up, because I suppose the feedback you get is different, and the ask is different, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
only trying to make your producer laugh.
He's got to perform to different markets. He's still got to have the same humour, but you've got to say this has got to go over in Australia, England,
exactly,
all the different states and stuff. But I did really appreciate how well he still hit all the subjects you would expect.
Yeah,
but how well he crafted it, so he never went too far over a line. Within all the bits as well, while still. You kind of, because you know him and you know his podcast, you know what he's thinking as well. So it just makes it, it's different. We've got the combined mediums now. But he's, I don't know, maybe I'm talking bollocks, but it was just, I really enjoyed just sitting back and thinking about the jokes. Yeah. Of course, some of them fucking hit me and I couldn't help laughing. But it was just, I just spent a lot of, and it really made me sit there and appreciate, fucking hell, man. You've got a lot of these guys in the States. A lot of them, though, that have just been going for 12 years, doing an hour 5, 6, 7 nights a week, or times a week at least.
Yeah.
That's why they're so sharp. They've just had it.
Yeah. I love all those old New York stories of when you used to do 6 gigs in a night and all that kind of stuff, run all over town. You're like, God, that I tell you what, that'd be useful stuff, wouldn't it? I remember I've tripled a few times in Bristol, and that's literally a handful of times. You double relatively frequently, that you can sort that out, and it is possible to do that in other cities if you're really careful and very organized. But it's not like you can just walk out your door and pick up an hour of stage time. I'm sure that's not true anywhere, but at a certain level, if you're in the right place, then you got, and their setup seems different as well. Everyone seems to do longer. The spot lengths seem to be longer. I don't know how they, in America, things seem to work out different. I don't know.
Well, like at clubs like the Cellar or the Comedy Store, they have showcase spots, and they're all 15 minutes. So if you're Bill Burr or a new comic that's just got past, you'll be doing 15 minutes. So you're automatically
that goes on all night.
Yeah, you're getting sometimes 2 or 3 shows. So like from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. You're getting a strong. You're just getting a really strong 15, which is helpful for anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Where it's here, it just takes. Well, it took me a long time to get to fucking 10 minutes, to be honest. Like, have 10 minutes of material. Like, where I wasn't drinking 17 drinks and being a bit racist. You know, that was like my first probably 2 months. Not intentionally racist, but I did listen to some of my first gigs the other day. I'm like, fuck it out. It's a bit much.
Some of the nuance may have been missed, maybe.
I think that's what I mean, yeah. And just just having to wait all night to get on maybe at an open mic.
Oh, 100%, yeah. As someone who wants to actually have an idea on stage, I imagine that's quite difficult. So yeah, I've got jokes at the Mo that I'm like, I really actually like that. I think it's an interesting idea. I look forward to saying it. And I like to see where it goes with an audience or whatever, and I'll have a little veer off here or there with it. And I got other ones I'm like, I need to say that. This is a thing that needs to happen in order for my job to have been done. Like, you know, there are just jokes. They're just things I say that I know get a laugh at the end because they've got all the right bits in them, and that'll do. And I do enjoy finding both of them. I do. But when you watch someone you really admire, you realise all they're doing now is writing the thing that they want to say, and then rinsing that for a year, and then filming it. See you later, and we'll start again. I don't know which process. I'm more. We'll see. But yeah.
Are you doing some festivals and stuff?
Yeah, I've just done Brighton, so I did a week in Brighton,
nice,
which was banging.
Classic,
yeah, and I've got Edinburgh, so I'm doing the full run in Edinburgh.
Nice. I'm up there I'm doing 3 just little spots on Bob Walsh's show.
Oh yes, nice.
Wrong comedy. Yeah. I did it last year. He did 6 nights because of COVID, but I did 3 of them, and it was fucking wild because there were less comic because of the pandemic. Less shows. Every room was full.
Yes, I heard
it. And actually, it was over capacity every night. They had 30 seats, and we got 50 people in there every night. They were,
nice
around the back. But because it's billed as wrong comedy, so you can. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There was some stuff, even on stage, there was some stuff I'm going to say this because you guys seem cool.
Yeah.
And they were for the most part. There was a lot from the BBC in there one night, and I just spent a while talking to them about how, their organisation went downhill when they got rid of all the pedos.
Yeah.
Which, maybe not good for a career, but it was funny and they liked it. But it's nice. It's freeing. So I'm writing some bits now that I probably wouldn't. I hate doing it, but I probably wouldn't do it in a lot of places, or not the full bit. I would cut these 2 lines out of it.
Yeah,
try and make it something different. But it's nice knowing that I'm going somewhere where I can just go. They're not going to give a fuck, and if they do, it's their fault.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, and I'll be honest. I'm not sat here trying to pretend like I've got an option to be an artist. You got to wait till you're capable of actually doing it. And I do. I'm afraid I enjoy just doing well too much to worry too much. So I'm very happy doing well off the back of jokes that I would that essentially I could give them to anyone and they'd work. I don't know. I've never really got why that's such a. People say that a lot. Like, but anyone could have said that. Well, that's good then. I get what they're saying. Like, what's if you're not doing something that only you can do, then the value of it maybe is a little bit.
I think that only really applies for the whole package, right? The whole lot. You can have jokes. You can have jokes that are fucking stupid and seemingly easy, and if it's funny and people laugh, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do.
I think so. Yeah, and that whole the whole voice thing that people always used to go on about, I kind of get a little bit more now, because I always thought people were talking about that like artistically, so I kind of ignored it because I found it dull. Then I kind of realized no, they kind of mean that commercially, I suppose, which is equally dull. but a bit more practical, I suppose. They're like, well, on a lineup, what are you? You know. So yeah, which is why people have like, people like have headshots that connote a certain type of comedy, or or something like that, and then they follow that up with how they dress and their facial hair or whatever, and then suddenly it's just very easy to put you on a poster with other people and look at it and go, oh, we'll have a bit of this and we'll have a bit of that, and that kind of thing.
That comic's got the mic cord around his neck like he's hanging himself. Zany.
Yes. So there's this one with the mic to the head, and then there's all sorts. There's all sorts. But yeah, which is fine. It's all part of the game, isn't it? But yeah.
That G&B place, they wanted a photo, and they said, he even said in the email, it's a long list of rules you've got to follow, even down to liking the post. Otherwise, they'll take a minute off your time or something. It's like quite Nazi.
Sounds very London. Sounds very London, yeah.
But when I got that, actually, it was a bit more relaxed, and I didn't stay the whole fucking night, which is one of the rules. Sorry, but I'd seen 13 comedians, and I went on. I had a nice time, and I wasn't going to see the second half.
Yeah, no.
I got to get home.
Yeah, exactly. You got to drive for 4 hours or whatever, haven't you?
Yeah,
so, yeah, whatever, innit?
So I can't remember the point. Oh yeah, I submitted. He said don't basically do one of the microphone shots because we've all seen it. So I just sent what looked like a passport photo.
Nice.
I'm in a shirt. I got a bit of a beard. God, must have been during the pandemic. And but then they stuck all our faces up behind us on the wall, so I just got this weird passport. But I thought it's just a normal. Oh, there's just a normal bloke in a shirt.
Yeah,
might be probably wouldn't one that I'd use long term. I don't know what to do. I did originally. I thought about the hanging yourself, but then I've seen it a million times, and it's like,
Yeah. But yeah, I got my some done, and I was just trying to think what do I have no idea. I have literally, this is what agents are good for, because an agent would have the photographer, and the agent and the photographer will both know exactly what to do with you, and they'd be going,
unless you get one that wants to put you in a fucking nappy or something. It's like,
yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to draw a line somewhere, but like starting from like what do I want to say with my face? Nothing really. In all honesty, I don't want that to be doing. I got nothing here. There's nothing here for you.
Yeah.
I ended up like going, can you just sort of make it look like a mugshot? And I'll be honest, more of what it ended up being like was defined by the fact that my face is fucked. Like this photographer, literally, very honest people photographers are. They're like, there's not going to be a lot we can do with this. Like, we're going to have to go
hard.
Dramatic shadow, really. There's a lot happening.
It's hard because I do look at some comics, right, and their pictures, and I go, I wish I was that expressive. I wish I had hair and I wasn't grey and bald, and I could do loads of weird shit with it. That would look good on the pictures.
Yeah. Even well, like especially like the really alternative, side of things. They all look it, don't they? Like almost none of them don't look like someone who's going to do some weird shit up there. Like no, nothing wrong with that, but like everyone's doing it. But yeah,
you're going cross-eyed in the picture. Yeah, it's tough. I'll probably get some done later this year or into the beginning of next year. Fucking half the year's gone already. I sat at the beginning of the year with a plan. I fucked off for a couple of months as well in the middle, but
that's pretty good though.
But I just more or less keep it to myself. But I've got a bit of a plan for 3 years, and you never know. I'll probably fail at some of those things, and also other opportunities will come around that I didn't expect. So, yeah, I've got things I want to do next year. I'll probably try and do a 2-hander show just because it's easy. It's easier to get in, and if I do it with a female comic, yeah. That's probably what I'm going to do next year, and try and do some little festival things and just try and do 20 minutes each, 25, whatever it is. So you can get an hour spot at a festival.
100%.
I really want to do Brighton. I actually was half considering trying to do a group show this year, but I didn't. I had a lot going on when I was trying to move out of Cardiff, so I just couldn't get around to organising it. I was probably skint when I had to pay as well and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
but I did go through all the process of finding a venue and speaking to them, and the portal and all that, which was helpful to know for next year, I guess.
Yeah. It's a great place. I don't know if you've been to Brighton much. I've never.
I know Brighton really well, but I've not. I went down in the pandemic actually when you were allowed to go to pubs. We're down there a couple of times. I really like the atmosphere down there. It's a nice vibe, and apparently the comedy scene's quite good as well. I've been doing a few things in Portsmouth and that way over the last sort of 9 months. Weirdly, I feel funnier in Portsmouth. I don't know, it's full of sailors fighting or something. But Brighton's not too far, and a lot of comics down there were saying, yeah, Brighton's got a couple of really good nights over there. Is one of them the Secret?
Yeah, that's where I was. Yeah, Secret.
Oh, okay. So is that in a cafe and
it is
separate room? Yes.
Yeah, there's an upstairs and a downstairs. Downstairs is like 30, 35. Upstairs is like 20, 25. But it's a nice place. It's a nice place.
Yeah, it looked nice.
Nice.
I think that's what I was looking at actually. That one. I think I was speaking to that guy, Matt.
Alexander Voodoo.
Alexander. There we go.
Yeah.
People tell me names all the time. I'm always asking who runs gig, and I can never remember them. But I'm probably more likely to get some good gigs down the South Coast at the moment because I know a lot of people down there. And it just I feel that I do better down there. I don't know why. It's probably all not true.
Well, I think the closer you get to the coastline, you go back, a decade or two in terms of taste.
So I could do my 70s when I turn up in blackface. They don't mind. I did see a fight. There was a girl that was in the audience and she was buying all the comic shots. And after this gig, I went to the pub next door for a pint on the way home. She was in there. So I was like, do you know what? I'll sit and have a drink. Meanwhile, another girl comes up to the right and says something. I don't even know what it was. I had a few. And then they start fighting over the back of me, like
nice
on at each other. And I'm like, listen, why don't we just calm down? We had a nice night. Let's have some drinks. I'm going home. They went around the corner to sort out these two girls. And then I heard a whack and a scream. And I went around the corner and one of the girls was knocked out harder than I've seen.
What?
I've seen a few people knocked out outside pubs, but what this girl was just like,
Jesus Christ.
She looked dead. I will say that the other girl that was in the audience did look like she worked on an oil rig.
Yeah.
She was a tough looking lady.
On oil rig, yeah.
And yeah, she I didn't see the punch, I heard it and then tried to help the person up, but the staff seemed to think this girl got into fights quite a lot, so it seemed to be quite normal for them. I was like, is she alive? Okay, I'm leaving. And just sort of stepped over her.
Yeah.
But, it is a bit more rowdy down in Portsmouth.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Any seaside towns got a lot of that going on.
Yeah. I lived in Southampton for a few years, but I always found that Portsmouth, it felt a bit rougher.
Yeah.
But Southsea's very nice. So there's a lot of comedy down there. Unfortunately, there's a few down there that are in the main room of a pub, which is obviously upsetting when you get there, and half the room isn't listening.
Yeah,
and the people running it aren't controlling it, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of that, but I have also found some nice gigs. And there's one I think, I can't remember the fucking name. It looks like maybe in an old prison or something. I need to investigate, but that's a decent paid show down there. I'll get the name of it. There's a couple of others that are popping up, decent shows with actual finances and money for the comedians.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get on some of those later this year, or when I get back, basically. Yeah. So I'm trying to actually do things that are worthwhile and have things to look forward to. And yeah, when you're in Dave was telling me the other day, Flynn, he did hot water.
Yes.
I didn't know much about it. I see it's very trendy to go and do it, but he was saying it felt easier to do comedy in a place like that. I did, I think, Beat the Frog in Manchester, and even though I got now an obese lady carded me, she was waiting for it for no reason. So I only did a couple of minutes, but the room was nice. It was about 110 people, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have that many people actually laughing at my jokes.
Yeah.
Even though it's a gong show, so you're under the, the whims of a bitch. I said when she carded me, I said I knew you were going to be a problem, and even when I walked past her in the audience, I said something else to her as well. I don't know what it was. It wasn't polite, but I was like, I knew it. But but it was really fun. I think it was the first night you were allowed to go to the bar in the pandemic, and if you remember that, you could go to the bar and order a beer.
Right.
So it's like freedom night. So
Yeah.
there are 2 floors up there, and it's nice to actually do some jokes in a place that's they were there for comedy and there to have a nice time.
Anywhere that's purpose built or like dedicated to comedy just feels it makes you feel it does make you feel. I don't know if I want to say more confident because there's more responsibility almost to that, but it does just feel more proper. It makes you think, actually a little bit more about exactly what you're doing on stage as opposed to controlling all the external factors that you would normally have to worry about. You know what I mean?
It's all taken care of. It's all properly done. Yeah, and that was nice as well because you're on a big screen that goes upstairs. It's a proper thing. I did have one really embarrassing thing at the end though. The mic stand just started falling, and I was a bit nervous, and I kind of didn't do much about it. I think I even followed it down as I said goodbye. But it was nice to go and do. So I'll probably go and do hot water as well at some point. Just to get the photo again, which is a very trendy photo to have. I've noticed. It's very popular. Yeah. But it's a good picture. It looks good. So it's
Yeah, is that one? What I see, the hot water one, the backyard one, and the Glee one. Those are the big ones that I usually see on someone's profile or whatever. Which is quite sweet.
It is sweet. But I know it's embarrassing, but it's a lot of photos.
No, it's not. It's something to be very proud of. That's why people do it.
A lot of photos to me up to this point are just me with tits during the pandemic, or I'm sweating. Or even the ones from Edinburgh last year, one of the comics is a photographer and he tried to take some good photos, but not of me. I'm the one that came out looking like a fucking bent over fat monster, which I sensed I was at the time. I put on a bit of weight, I have to admit it. But yeah, I'm even thinking about, I want to look all right in the photos this year. Got to lose a bit of weight.
Yeah. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I always wonder how much that affects things. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, like the photos and stuff. Because people always there's a lot of photographers at gigs now. Do we have to have the flash on and stuff? I don't say any of it, but I'm like, who's this for? A lot of it's to prove that a gig happened. A gig happened here. Look,
we have to tell all the other comics that it happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's for the comics is one thing, but I get it in terms of promoting the next night or whatever. It's good to have it, but I don't know what value a photo of me has. Almost none, I imagine. This guy was here. I don't know. Outside of place. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's fucking weird.
I back myself for my fans. Very important to know that they could have seen me last week there. But
it's a weird one, but at the same time, it does feel like you should get them. You should have nice pictures and. Most of the pictures of me are shit. If I get one good picture every couple of months, I'm happy.
I always look. Right. Yeah, I'm always looking. I'm like, fingers crossed, there's one in there. I don't think it's possible to take a good photo of me on a stage because it's always beneath me. It's always angled up like that, and I have no. If you try to take a good photo of me, you'll fail. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me. I'll do whatever you tell me. You'll try and take it. You'll become frustrated with me. I don't know what it is. It's my face is what it is. But yeah. So the stuff that comes out after people do it is madness. I'm sure I'm the reason for half of them choosing black and white as well.
Oh yeah, I'm into black and white ones.
You've gone black. Okay, yeah, I've not. All right, no, it's fine.
But, so some of mine are black and white, and I did wonder: is that it's just me, isn't it? You turned black and white. Why?
Yeah.
What color was my face at that time? And also, when you're on stage, you think you look a certain way, but then when you see a picture, it's like, was that when I do that bit and I do that thing? That's what I look like. Oh.
Yeah. I've had to be very conscious of my use of what I call funny voice act outs because I've seen some very famous, very successful comics who, luckily, I've had a chance to work with in the last few months. People like Russell Howard, like lovely man, would never have anything bad to say about him, but he is an absolute master and relentlessly uses the funny voice act out. So there's a joke or an idea or a concept or a story about one of his many cousins or something like that, and it will always be accompanied by a funny voice and an exaggerated act out, and people fucking love it. Now, obviously, that's his thing, and he's got very, very good at doing it, clearly. And this is not a criticism of it, but watching myself back on stage, I realise I don't, and now it's So I'm like, I'm really not using any kind of storytelling ability here, because I'm treating this joke as a joke, but actually most jokes are just quite short stories structured in a certain way. So you can help that out a lot by thinking about your facial expression, thinking about what you're doing. I mean, it's all very basic stuff, and it's been covered millions of times by everyone. But until you watch yourself back, you really don't know what you're doing up there half the time. It's
good. It's good to start to do though. To go, okay, can I make myself look a bit less shit? Maybe that'd help if I, get the right movement or whatever.
Yeah. Sell it. How am I selling this joke?
I was saying to you before this, I was sending a message to Flynn about sucking off Hitler. I did it on stage, so I was thinking the only time I changed my voice, I think, apart from early on, was when I had a mouthful of Hitler's dick in one bowl.
Right.
I can't even remember the bit, but it involves going back in time and sucking off Hitler. I can't remember why, but I remember being mid on my knees, and someone just went, "No." There was some drunk girl was just saying no repeatedly, and it didn't help because I felt, do I have to take the cock out of my mouth to answer back? It's like how I'm committed to it.
That's the real issue. Yeah, is as soon as you commit to something, it's far worse when it doesn't work.
It was kind of working okay, but there were two assholes either side of the room just talking now. They didn't approve, and I said, "Well, how can I get up and tell you off? I'm on my knees. I've got to get up."
You should explain to them what the situation they've just created is, that you now have to remove a fictional fascist penis.
That was the move, but I was very nervous.
Oh well, no, yeah, it's all very easy in retrospect.
I felt I could deal with one, but when I had this other one just going, there was one lady over here going, "Just stop." I mean, I wanted to go. I wanted to put them both in an oil tanker, so eventually when they're pulled out, they were degloved. Or just call them a cunt. But I don't know what the response was, but it wasn't good. I remember thinking about that all night, going, "What?" I didn't deal with that very well. God damn it.
I don't know. There's always, who knows? Everyone deals with things differently. I think I've watched a lot of comics give themselves permission to be very honest with people now, in ways that you think this isn't your traditional heckler put down kind of reaction. This is more of a detailed explanation about how comedy works. That seems to be their thing. Is like, I'm going to get a little bit angry now, and I'm going to get angry because you've misunderstood what's happening here. So I'm going to explain to you in great detail why what you're doing is unacceptable. Which is a very, it's a pretty old, it's not like it's new, but it does seem to resonate with people a lot more these days, because I think, I don't know, but people attention span wise, and definitely what do I see my role as an audience member is probably a little bit warped at the moment. People are very, very keen to join in.
I do find most people okay, in most rooms okay, but then you do get one, quite a lot, I suppose. If it's not set up right, or there's something off, it can just encourage people to be cunts as well and just talk. They're just talking through it, they're talking at you.
You see it at all levels as well. Like even like big dedicated clubs, you will get people who will just not.
You get a table of girls drinking 8 bottles of prosecco. They're going to be the ones chatting to each other. And anyway, I was saying at the front row.
Part of the job,
It is. But what I did notice when I worked in Glee was a not a lot of comics, but some Friday night comics and stuff would just, they did a bit of Welsh accent. They they said fucking quite a bit. And the animals, the farmyard that came to see him on the Friday night loved it.
Oh yeah. You know? There's time and place for everything. Like
with their 4-pint cocktails, which I knew there were hardly any spirits in, and we charged them 20 quid for because it's got a fucking sparkler in the top or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, but different people. But so I think a lot of the time, some of those on a Friday night, people might be going, should we go bowling or should we go to a comedy club?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's what those shows are for, mainly. Yeah, I mean, you can't fill 500 seats with comedy fans every Friday and Saturday night.
You might get 50 comedy fans, and then the 300 fucking coked up weirdos at 7:30.
A couple of Batmans, a few Supermans, and a few crying people.
We had a bet on when the first vomit would be at Christmas parties, and it was normally girls, and they would come in at 7:30. The show would be at 8. And they'll be straight in the toilet to fucking chuck up whatever, the gins that they've been tipping down their neck all afternoon. But I can't say that next bit because I've mentioned the name of the club, and that'd be libelous and annoying for them, for management. But yeah, if it was another fictional club and they found certain things on certain customers, then they would keep those things.
I think that's every club that's ever existed. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun working there. Basically, we at 9:00 we're allowed to start drinking.
Well, that's
while
good.
Working. Yeah, and if you miss poured drinks, then you get to keep those. So sometimes you'd be going, you know what, I'm going to accidentally pour a double whatever and put it there. And the women coming in with the bottles of prosecco, they'd buy 8 bottles and drink 4. So you just go and mind sweep those. Hopefully, it's not been rehypnol or whatnot, whatever the latest trendy thing is. So the after parties for the staff were a lot of fun. So we did have, we had some good times with some of the comics that came around there. Lovely green room at the Glee. I don't know if you've done the Glee.
No, I have not.
Comfortable.
You'd have seen the photo if I had.
Oh yeah, I would have done. Yeah,
that's one of those places that every time I go to, like, I should try and get on the Glee. I'm like, let's give it up. I really don't want to do it till I don't know. I've got this stupid thing in my head, like it's this hallowed thing, and I don't want to go anywhere near it till I'm like,
So I'm
gonna bring the big shit. I'm gonna get their fucking mind down there. They'll never have seen.
Yeah, you're gonna come out with your art, and it's gonna be a fucking hen night with a cock dress on.
Well, that's it. I mean, which would be ideal for me. Let's be honest. Like I'm going to thrive there. It's almost more frightening for me to have loads of people who are super up for comedy and that like they've got, they know how to behave and they're relatively comedy literate. Well, now you better do well then, haven't you? You know what I mean? Whereas fighting a hen do. Good times. I'll do that all night.
Well, no, actually thinking about that would be perfect for you because you can just shit talk them and
Well, yeah.
I'm saying that's what your act is, but
no. I mean, it's part of it. It's
you're very good at crowd work. So.
Part of my it's part of whatever the stage person of me is doing that, and I love it. I'm not going to deny that. And whatever I write, I always have a bit of there's space for that in there. So good. I've no issue with it. But then, the more you do with that, you're always conscious. All right, how much of that have I done this week? Well, I've emceed 4 times this week, and I don't do material when I MC. So, what do I do then? Do I take less MC gigs? Do I do more material when I MC? Because I don't really like doing that. Why don't I like doing that? Because, and you got to go through all those sort of processes and realize, you got to go in again to every gig with a clear goal. I want to make this joke work during this gig, or but getting better at crowd work is also very important. I think like there's still people I watch that I'm like, because people are very kind to me about my ability to do crowd work or deal with a crowd that they would hate because it's full of people who want attention or whatever, and I'm happy to give it to them, and they're less inclined. But like I watch other people, I'm like, this is how I want to do it a bit more like that. I want to really stay in the moment more, and I'll make that kind of thing rather than just have a thing to come back at them with.
Yeah,
So
I've seen some good at the Comedy Store. Actually, I think it was Tony Hinchcliffe. I was sat next to a girl there, and she yelled something out, something stupid in a 300 seater at one of the best clubs in the world, and he just stopped. He just stopped for a minute, turned back, and went, "What?" And then he spent 10 minutes on her, and she was so embarrassed. She was like a Kardashian type, like Instagram and everywhere. But she goes, "Can you please stop talking to me?" And he goes, "Sure." No. And then he just spent 8 minutes at her why she wanted to fucking try and ruin the night. It was very funny.
Yeah. There was always a few. There was one last night who, I mean, you can tell straight away. Like as they're coming in the door, like this sounds bad, but you hear the Australian accent and it's a bit louder, and she's a bit shorter, and she's got 5 mates with her. Yeah, she's the shortest one, she's the loudest one, and she's the one with the Australian accent. Sorry, Australia, but I meet a lot of you. You're very confident. Not got a problem with that, but pipe down when the lights go off.
Agreed.
But yeah, and I was like, I bet in my head I was like, well, she's going to be the one tonight. Immediately was, and then she went to the loo in one of the intervals. I was closing the night. Why not? Let's put that out there. Just before I went on, she was going to the loo, and like her mates was kind of, you need to maybe chill out a little bit. A few, they were kind of split, and then half of them were like, "Nah, I get it. I see what you're doing." She's like, "Yeah, I'm being encouraging. I'm just, the standard thing that the majority of people that behave like that genuinely do think in some way they are helping. Yeah. Like, I'm part of this. No, I'm helping. It's good. It's genuine. Like, it's a good job I'm here. That kind of attitude. It's like, and they believe it. They believe it. And I try and I remember. I know that quite a lot now, because I mean, people used to kind of go, when we used to do, let's be honest, fairly dreadful, badly set up nights together sometimes.
Yeah.
People would be like, "Oh, Greg's going to go on there and call them all cunts." And yeah, sure, they weren't wrong. And that felt genuinely part of the, what was happening. But yeah, it's, I'm trying not to, because sometimes people still say that. It's like, "Oh, I wish I could just go on there and call everyone cunts." I'm like, I promise I do more than that. I promise.
I think what it is, I've not seen you for a while, but I think what it is that stands out though. It's like, you're kind of watching the stuff, and then some fucking cunt rag, 2 idiots will walk into, wherever it is in Bristol, and you've spotted them and go, "No, here come the lads," and you've had to deal with it, and that, I think people remember that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's and I love it. I'm not complaining about it. I'm never going to stop doing that. Like, that's half the reason I like doing comedy at all, is for those moments. So that's good. That's all good by me. But yeah. So like, and I think about it myself sometimes. Sometimes I watch stuff back and I'll be like, "Oh, there's a clip in that." But what really is this clip? It's someone saying something and me saying something rude quickly. And that's a very big laugh, not to, it sounds very, again, self-indulgent, but it's like, and you'll be like, they're like 2 minutes before, there's that joke that I'm really very happy with. I'm very happy with this joke. I think this is the kind of joke that I used to not be able to do, and I've made it work. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I got a laugh off that." And then all it took was, "You're thick, mate." And then, everything, and it's like, that's the bit people take away from it, and which is fine by me. It is genuinely, it doesn't bother me. But yeah, it's a.
You want your fucking material to be more, that's the thing you should be paying attention to, not me.
I think so. I'm more empathetic with the acts that have really good material now, because there's acts like people like Firouz Azari, who just won Leicester Mercury, absolute legend. Like, we started at a very similar time, all of us, I would say, and he needs to be allowed to say exactly what he's saying in exactly the way he's saying it, and have you listen to all of it. And if you do that, it will be an astonishingly good bit of stand-up. I guarantee it. But as soon as someone gets in the way of that, that's all gone. So I used to, so I'm not that. I'm not that, but I completely sympathise with him now because it's. And I suppose what I try and be more careful not to encourage the kind of behaviour that will fuck Farouz over by seemingly enjoying it myself or making or getting laughs out of it, if you know what I mean. So it changes the way I MC a little bit, and it changed. And I never used to be one of those rule-setting MCs. I used to really hate that. Like the last thing they do before they bring acts on is be a prefect. Like, don't talk, don't get up, don't say anything, turn your phone off, ladies and gentlemen. Like, what are we doing here? But there is a genuine reasons for doing it. There's better ways of doing it than that for sure. But yeah, like actually giving acts with proper material, proper time to do it is all part of being. What am I talking about? I'm sorry.
No, you're making sense. It must be harder for those guys like Fruz and stuff. I've only seen them a couple of times, but I think if they've got to go into a shit house, a shit room, it's way harder to get those bits right because it's they're always going to be interrupted. They're always going to have or distraction from or not well set up room. We've got music coming in or something, and anything can sort of throw you off. I was thrown off by a pair of false teeth last year on a table. Yes,
that's exactly.
So, I listened back and I actually say, "What? There's a pair of." I had to. I said, "Why is there false teeth on the table?"
Yeah. You wouldn't have to do that. And like getting used to playing bad rooms. A lot of people see that as that'll put some hairs on your chest. That'll get you ready for this is you paying your dues and learning all the skills you need in order to do and then you go to a good room and you realize, no, I need an entirely separate set of skills to play a good room.
Yeah.
Because now you have got their attention and now they are there for you and now their expectations have been set and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot here I have one job and that is do my set and do what I mean and do all that stuff. Whereas you used to windmilling through a bunch of other nonsense.
I'm glad I did some of those terrible things, and I did even a couple in the last year, like in the South, that I didn't know before I went there. But I will try and avoid those now because I don't want. If it's there, I'll think right. If I'm in it now, I will often get into the mindset of going, I'm just going to be as fucking mean as possible to these people when I get up because they're just animals and they don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to explain comedy to them. I'm just going to, be fucking horrible to these people, and I'm going to probably get stabbed when I leave. That's how I feel in those rooms. I don't want to do. If I know about it, and if I'm not desperate for a fucking gig, I'll just go. I'd rather try and do this one that actually looks set up nicer. And people are coming along to comedy. The one thing about that G&B stuff is sort of. Yeah, it's Nazi. Some of the rules might seem it's actually very well set up, and the audience is there for comedy, and they do seem to behave. It's a nice. They're in the dark. The stage is lit. Shut up. Listen to the jokes. So I want to do. I'm probably going to be a bit closer to London for a while, so I might do a few of those that they do just to get that experience in there as well. Although London's very annoying in general.
Yeah,
for comedy, it can be very annoying. There are some really good rooms, but to get in is difficult, and the ones you have to do on the way into those good ones sometimes is just very, 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 very annoying.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Well, there's a reason why half of them go to Brighton and stuff like that to actually do gigs, because you might as well go all that way to do one than do 3 appallingly attended bringers. Because what's the point?
It drives me. Bringers just absolutely drive me insane, especially when they're a real stickler to it. Because if one person turns up, I think Hardacre went over to London once from Bristol and they didn't let him in. He was like, "I haven't got a bringer," and he goes, "But I've come from Bristol. Can I come in? I'll buy loads of drinks. I'll stay to the end and watch comedy." They're like, "Nah."
That's a disgrace.
It's disgusting. I could never do that to a comic that's travelled, for 3 hours.
No,
I'll give you 5 minutes. You can have it. You can have something.
It does. I'm sure. I mean, You can tell when a newer act, especially, is from London, because they will be very. I will talk extremely fast, and I will. They're all very. They do come out of that experience with a certain set of skills, definitely, but it's a very a very odd.
I did
I
do flip flop about gong shows. Sometimes I'll resign from them completely and go, I'm not going to be at the whim of a fucking pig with a dildo in a hand. Because that I did a show called the Ding Dong Gong Show in Vauxhall, and yes, instead of cards, they hold dildos.
Yes.
One of them was about this big, and that was the final. Was the final. That's what gonged me off. So my dignity already. I mean, you're not listening to anything. You're fucking shouting over me. I thought it started funny. All right, I slipped up there. 2, you get 1, then 2. Then I was just waiting for that big black cock to wave me off stage, and it came like a minute later. It's just, the indignation. We had a lovely green room backstage. It looked like it used to be a strip club or something, but lovely seats, and the comics were very well looked after. And then to go out to that, and let's face it, I think the show was at 8 or 9 in London on I don't know what day of the week it was, but people had clearly been drinking for about 9 hours.
Yeah.
And the fucking host of it, whoever was emceeing it was riling the crowd up, to gong people off. Like, you've got to come here and try and fucking fuck with these comedians.
Yeah. King Gong style. Yeah, we're here to make it hard for them. Let's do that.
Yeah, which, in some ways I get it, but it was thoroughly depressing. It's just that I can still see that big black cock, Greg.
That's fair, mate. That's fair. It's looms heavy in your mind.
And then you see the people that win these nights. Sometimes you're like, what? You can't get into that mindset. But
I honestly, I mean, competitions in and of themselves are mystifying enough in terms of who wins them, but gong shows are. It basically all you need to do is wear a funny costume. I don't think I've ever seen. I genuinely, I think I don't think I've ever seen anyone turn up in a funny costume who hasn't won. It's that level. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for something along that line. Maybe at a push, you're a guitar act. You've got 2 songs that are funny, or you got a costume. Who can I remember? I'm hammered. I've watched 12 acts do 5 minutes. Who can I remember? With a guy dressed as a llama. Or that song where it was turned out it was about fucking his mum. Oh yeah, that one. I say this. I've won a couple gong shows. I've
seen you win it when I've been fucking thrown off after 30 seconds.
But only because no one else turned up in a costume.
I had a bad one. I'm pretty sure you were there last year. Yeah, just after the pandemic over in Bristol, and I had a real bad one. It was so bad, in fact, at Smoke and Mirrors that when I got on stage, they had a stupid perspex thing up next to Liam, and I got trapped in between him and the perspex thing because I didn't know what was there. I half knocked over his table. He thought it was a bit, to be fair to him. He's like, oh, bloody hell, comes Carl, I was like, no, I'm just fat now, and I fucking knocked my ass into your stall when I came on, and then had a shitter immediately because I started making jokes about the massage parlor next door.
I don't know how that. I'll be honest. I'm constantly shocked how no one ever references that.
We were just stood. I was out there with George and Caitlin. We smoking and looking at Smoke and Mirrors, and I was just thinking. And we just saw some old dude go in there, and it's like that's got to be a rub and tug, right? It's
it definitely is. Yeah, it's called Shadows, and next to it is one that seems more legit. But from being
that's probably the dirty one, though. The one that looks more legit is probably the filthy one. They've got a secret room.
100%. Like, there's lots of things you see standing outside Smoke and Mirrors having a cigarette. We were like, well, this is not subtle, guys. But yeah, it was. I don't know how anyone walks into that place and not going, this is weird, isn't it? But there you go.
That was just on my mind. But anyway, so coming off, once I got fucking carded immediately. Maybe you even won it that night, I can't remember. But when I tried to get off stage, and because of the new setup, I couldn't get out of the curtain. So now I'm doing this with my back to the audience, trying to get off. They're laughing. They're having a great time. Look at this zany. I feel like I want to fucking kill myself. I want to go backstage. You just hear his shotgun go off. That's how I feel. And I think it was George's Caitlin, who actually, because you can see from the monitor what's going on. And I think she fucking got me out of there. And I was just like, I had to go and sit in the corner for about 30 minutes. And George knew as well. I sat in the corner of Smoke and Mirrors for about 30 minutes. Like, I was all right after half an hour, but that whole event got to me.
Oh, they're mental. There's all kinds of, it's like competition season, it seems, at the moment, for like people submitting clips to get on competitions and BBC New Comedy Award and stuff like that. I have to be honest, I'm sure it's all done with the best of intentions, but it does seem to I don't know how good it is for comedy or the comedians involved. It doesn't seem to be a place to produce really good comedy for people to look at and go, oh, this is great. I'm really excited by the new wave of comedians. Nor does it, this is going to get me in trouble saying all this anyway, nor does it seem to be very good for the comedians involved, because it's all just a process of second guessing what a tiny group of people want to do with the idea of comedy and how they're going to make that happen. So should we just be funny? Shall we do that?
That's a nice thing, because you're right. And the few that I don't know whether I've done 6 or 7, whatever it is, I've done a few. Every time I don't feel like I'm doing a gig. It feels different. It kind of feels like I am, but I'm way more nervous.
Me too. Yeah.
It fucked with me way more now.
100%. Yeah.
And I just don't feel that I'm even like however good or shit that is normally, but I just don't feel it's something different. It feels different when I'm doing it.
No, I get that. Yeah,
there we go. So maybe just get alarm.
It should feel like that, because you're supposed to. It's not supposed to be you versus the audience for a start, but in a way that kind of is like there's a reason why you say things like I'm winning over the audience and I'm killing and all that kind of stuff, is because it is kind of a game of beating the silence that would have been there if you weren't there, or whatever. And now I got to beat them and all these people that are doing exactly what I'm trying to do for the same reasons, or whatever. And it's like, I don't know.
And you're appealing to 1 or 2 or 3 other people as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Comments, so it's like it's all of it. It's like,
on what criteria am I being judged here, and that kind of thing. It seems like a recipe for compromise to me. But then this is probably just a mixture of cowardice and personal taste on my behalf. Like I hate the experience of them and I avoid them. I'm also mildly skeptical about the value of them. I'm sure there's definitely value in them. There just has to be, in terms of, but sometimes I think this is more valuable to the people running it than to anyone else. But they're not the ones actually putting themselves on the line. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I agree. Kat over in New York said she sees me, I think it's to do with the photos, with a beanie with a propeller, or also with a giant lollipop in my hand for the comedy picture. That could be a...
yes, this is true. Yeah, what else would be good?
Tough one, isn't it?
You could, the classic mental patient.
Yeah, but it's such a fucking... I've been mental for, half my life, and it's boring. I don't know. And I am a sweaty mental person, but I'm trying to calm down a bit these days. And I don't know what I want to... I just look fucking weird in most pictures. So I'll have to take 1,000 just to get one that looks presentable.
Yeah. I ended up I looked through loads of other comics' headshots when I was doing it. And there's loads out there that you think, that's fine. Like, I see what they're doing there. It's just, don't worry, I'm a professional comedian. That's kind of what you end up getting across with most of it, is don't worry, I'm a professional comedian. And I do that on stage now. Like, if it's a Friday or a Saturday, I have a jacket on now, which once upon a time I'd have thought, what are you on about? And now I'm like, no, I get that.
I've thought about
don't
it.
worry, it's going to be fine. I've done this before.
This is my job, guys.
Yeah,
It's been my job for longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah. believe that this is supposed to be happening. Yeah. So it's a weird. It's all very strange. But yeah, it is. A lot of it is perception. A lot of it is what are you perceived as being supposed to be doing. What gigs are you supposed to be doing? If you can, if you're perceived as doing those gigs, those are the gigs you do. And if you're not, then you don't.
Yeah, self-fulfilling, isn't it? Because then the 3 or 4 other nice gigs will go, oh, look, he's doing those. He's doing those ones. When he applies to it, I'll go, yeah, I've seen you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was confidence, isn't it? And but there's no shortcut really in that. You can't just decide I want to be perceived this way. You've got to do very well and be seen to do very well to get there in the first place. I hope. But yeah, or just be available. Just be constantly available. That helps. But
I find comment. I don't know. I find the online comedy community sickening a lot of the time. Just the groups and the fucking. I get advertising for shows is all good, looking for gigs, but any other conversations around that, I want to. Sometimes I think if guns were legal, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Whatever it was, it's probably best you don't.
Yeah. I mean, I've said
that's all I would. That's all I would say on that one.
I posted in a comedy group one night, and Dave Flynn. I was really drunk. This was years ago. I got a message from Dave Flynn that woke me up at 1:30 or 2:30, and he goes, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "That post you put in whatever comedy group it was, I don't know what even one it was.
Yeah,
one of the big national." He goes, "You feeling all right after that post you put in such and such?" What post? I don't even know. And he screenshotted and sent it to me. I was like, and this was at 2:30. I went straight on there and deleted it because in that 2 hours between falling asleep, and it wasn't even that bad, but it was just. I think I was actually having to go at comedy competitions. Yeah, I don't know. It was very aggressive, and comedy courses as well. And I was just very aggressive about those two things, and. Yeah, in a really horrifically Carl at midnight in 2017 way, I just deleted. And luckily, Dave did take his side. Take his look. Do you know what? Most comics are right. They know you're probably having a bit of a breakdown, but be more aware, I guess. And,
yeah, that's it. And sadly, being aware is very close to being just shut up.
I do. I shut up. I don't
that's
even post
pretty
anyone.
much what that is. And those forums, they're useful for certain things, but I don't know why anyone's ever put an opinion in one of them. I don't know why.
There was a point when I paid attention to them that it was all opinion, and there would be 150 comments under a post about someone else running a gig. That bastard. Hey, you don't understand. And so, what are these people doing? I mean, they're all comics. Why don't you write a fucking joke? Instead of writing a Facebook comment, and you're in this thread now for 8 hours going back and forth about something.
I'm sorry to say it, but I never see anyone who's busy doing that.
Sometimes
there's a reason why you're on the forums. There's a reason why that's where your energy is going.
And some of them claim they're not busy for outside factors, and I think they're more internal factors. You can't get gigs because you're on Facebook.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what people want out of it, but I think for a lot of people, comedy is a secondary almost. It's a useful way of me getting my point across.
Oh yeah, it's like listen to me.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. How many other places are there where you get to just get on stage on your own with a microphone and away you go?
It's all insane.
You really can't do that. It's very attractive to people who feel like they've got something to say, which was always my worry. I was like, do I actually have anything to say? Which is why I was so intent on getting laughs. you know, and that's why I love crowd work and stuff like that, because you don't have a chance to worry about what it is you've got to say. You have to say the first thing that comes into your head, and you best make sure that's funny. So for me, it's like the other way around. A lot of people, like, they start off knowing that they want to say something and then getting good enough to make that thing funny. Fair enough. And I suppose I'm trying to get good enough to give my self permission to actually try and say something. Which means I probably have to start watching the news again, and I can't be asked to do that.
Oh,
so
man,
I'll probably leave it. Leave it.
Yeah, leave it. I'd quit. Go back to work. I get what I need to get from Twitter or whatnot. I know what's going on. I can write a joke about fucking, you know, the Johnny Depp trial if you want. I don't know, but I don't really want to. But yeah, I know if there's a war, basically, if there's a war, I'll pick that up and maybe make a joke about a war. And then, I don't know. Yeah,
if you don't mind me doing a bit of, see, this is the kind of thing that you're supposed to just do as a professional comedian. You're supposed to just say the shit that you've done, and pass it off like it's not a thing. But I did a bit of writing for Mock the Week, and so you have to do that thing where you're writing for someone else about something that you don't necessarily know or care about, just as a pure can I write a joke exercise, which is a very interesting way of doing it, and it was kind of fun, to be fair. And I did get a joke on Mock the Week and watch Glenn Moore say it.
Nice.
Which is a very strange experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was very, very odd. But that sort of that side of things, you kind of forget that all that's there as well. And there are people that I don't know how many exclusive comedy writers there are in the UK. I know in America it's a much bigger deal because they have a lot more monologue writing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So what do they do? Do they send a writing packet and then they go, we want 10 jokes on? Essentially,
yeah. So it's you get the title of the round, or so the sentence that Dara is going to read out or whatever is going to be at the top. So this is what this is about. So whatever the question is or whatever the topic is, that's at the top, and then you just underneath you fill what you can in. Essentially, it depends who you're doing it for and that kind of thing. So if you're writing for someone else, it's usually that individual person that's asked you to do it, really, rather than a big collective kind of pool, whatever. I'm sure that's out there as well. But I
don't know what they do. I know in New York and stuff, they'll send, not everyone, but they will open up writing packets for late shows, and they'll be like, right, we need 10 jokes on COVID, 10 jokes on this, not mass shooting, but whatever's happened this week. And then, comics will just submit. Most of them won't get anywhere near it. Some of them might get one on, some might get two on.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's a quantity. It's a numbers game. Just write as many as you can. Don't worry about the quality of it. Half of it is, another comedian's got to look at it and go, I can do something with that. That's part of it. And sometimes, they'll just lift it or whatever.
Nice. Was yours straight word for word?
Pretty much, yeah. I can't remember it exactly, and it's not like a thing. I'm like, this was a really good joke. I'm so proud of this, but it was just got on
the fucking telly, though, didn't it?
It did get on the telly. Yeah, it did get on the telly.
I forget there's telly, Greg. I forget there's telly. I used to love those.
Most people do, mate. Most people do.
I don't watch it. I watch streaming and YouTube and listen to podcasts. I don't watch any of it now. I should I don't know.
I really don't know who is. I really don't know. I'm sure there's people out there that will go on iPlayer specifically to watch Mock the Week, but I don't know who's sat down waiting for it to come on, and then I don't know. But
I used to love all that. Have I got news for you and all that? But then as you get older, when you get into comedy stuff, you realise these are fucking written. These are scripted for them, probably not by them for the most part.
Yeah, you can see the moment when I paused it because I was like, because obviously I'm not going to pretend I wasn't excited. So I rewinded it on iPlayer and I paused it, and you can see the shame in Glenn Moore's eyes as he reads it out. I swear to God, you can see the shame where he's like, I've got to say something, so I suppose I'll say this, which was nice. But yeah, I've always wondered what it'd be like as a comedian to. I'm not having a go at all, but it just must feel strange to say someone else's joke as if it is your own, and then on top of that, as if it is your own and you've just thought of it, which is the conceit of it, which is fine. That's why it's a watchable TV program, is because all those things exist. But like, yeah, again, it's I suppose a skill you learn later on. But
when you find out, though, isn't it? Because when you're an audience member and you watch, you think, well, he's fucking hilarious for half an hour, and they fully filmed it for 2 hours and cut it down. He's been great, and they still got a comic, and they're still a good comic. But yeah, they haven't written it. And like the monologue stuff in the late night stuff, it did. When I found out, they weren't written by them because it is performed. It's like a bit of stand up, I guess, and it's this 5-minute monologue. And whoever Leno is up there, Jay Leno's doing it, and 5 comics have written it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's good. It's good. Yeah,
no, it's one of those moments. I don't tell people anymore. Well, I suppose I do. But when people are like, what, they don't do it themselves? I'm like, they do most of it. I don't want to do it anymore, because I'm like, I think genuinely half the time, almost none. And how could you? Like, even when you're just writing it, you realize how tight the deadlines are. So to make a topical comedy show, like, if you get sent the stuff, maximum you've got sort of 48 hours, maybe,
right?
Less usually, is to take that topic, turn it into jokes, and get it on the telly.
Yeah.
So like,
it's wild.
People writing it have got a day with it or whatever, maybe. But yeah, and then you've got, I don't know how many, but there'll be you should be looking at. Most of let's be honest, most of the fun stuff on Mock the Week is the curated stand-up bits that they get to do based on the wheel of topics or whatever, because that's the stuff that's really, really, really been worked out.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is, 100 jokes that have come through in the last day or two from various sources. But yeah,
the turnaround was. So I guess you get 2 days, then it probably goes to then, I don't know, editors or the comics and editors for a day, and maybe then they rehearse it for a day, finalize shit, and then they film on day 6 or 7, right? So it's a broadcast. Yeah, it's wild to think about. Like I said, I forget TV exists, and it's all there was forever.
Yeah. You can see why. You can see why podcasting is popular in the comedy community, I would say.
You can do what you want. You can say what you want. You can do it. Yeah, you can just do it with people you want to do, and it's all you. Not that people are coming and doing bits, but it's just, I think it's nice to see people just being naturally funny and having conversations.
It is. Yeah, but I won't lie. Like, I've still got that thing in my head because I grew up with it, watching people on panel shows, thinking this is the dream. Like, even when I used to think, God, wouldn't it be like? Could I do that if I was there? Could I just come up with all this shit on the spot and that kind of thing? But like, this is the like. So there's still a massive glamour to it for me. I just don't know how much practical,
What we grew up with, and I've, years ago I was thinking, one day if I could get on Have I Got News for You, I'd be brilliant with these news stories.
You always think this is the challenge I need in order to rise to it. So just put me in, the game. I'll do it on the night.
Give me a go now. Give me a go now. I'll do a Chinese accent at the end of that. Just getting on. Be weird, but in reality, it's probably 3 or 4 hours just sat in a hot TV studio with stupid lights on you. They've got a fake audience with a pink wigs, and they're telling them when to laugh. I don't know how good it would actually feel to be on that side of it. Like, you're doing a good job, you're creating a product, enjoying it at home and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think the people
I know that do it are. They do enjoy it. I think they do enjoy the process because you get to work with other really good. You get to see other really good comedians really go for it. I think if you're used to doing them, they're probably more fun than if you're new, because all the people I know obviously are people that have kind of the biggest thing they've ever done or something like that. You know what I mean? So it must feel like the ultimate comedy competition almost. Like, you're sat there in the chair, you're in the TV program you used to watch now. Yeah. Good luck. And then you'll have someone who's been doing it for years sat next to you,
and you're just watching them be fucking the smoothest thing ever.
Exactly.
I've got 2 minutes to my spot, and I've gone blank.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll not be sweating. You've got people looking at me.
Now I've got to interrupt the person who I watched as a child in order to get something on the table.
Hey, Paul Merton, shut up.
Yeah, I've got to say something. I've got to get something on the table. I've got to give something to the editors to choose. And I spoke to one person who did one. Who was like, I sat there and I watched, because I'm just not. I just sat there and I watched the TV program. I was in it, but I just watched it.
It must be so tempting. I'm basically it's like virtual reality mock the week.
I can understand that entirely. And
so then you've bummed, right? So if the producer thinks, oh, well, they come on and bummed, or maybe we won't give them another chance.
Well, if you didn't get anything in, then they can't put you in. And I have seen episodes of panel shows, and you're like, with the one you don't know. Which is kind of, there's always the one you don't know in there, and they're the one who's being given their shot, and you're like, I haven't heard them say anything, and I'm like, that's got to be tough, isn't it?
It must feel horrible. Maybe they got one line in, but they fucking know it's not getting.
Yeah,
it's like, oh god, I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you don't want to be too much. You don't want to be like, you've got to get you across, but you don't want to be like, I'm gonna fucking do all the crazy shit.
Oh yeah, you see that as well, and you're like, you can almost sense do you want to let us? We could be going home now. You can sort of sense that from like the old veterans or whatever. I'm sure that's not true, but yeah.
Yeah, but writing that sort of thing is interesting, because I did a couple of roast things, and that just not obviously on the telly, just in shit places. But it was a fun exercise, because I thought, I've got this person, I need 15 jokes, and it was fun. I had a great week. Like every night, I did the. I stuck up little cards everywhere and had like actual written out stuff. And I was like,
nice.
Writing this way is nice. I enjoyed it. So it's having a challenge or something to go, because I can never sit down and write an hour a day. So I know comics that do that. They'll sit down and go, this is my writing hour.
Yeah, which is lovely, but it's not.
I can't do it. Most of my shit comes from conversations or a news article or a, suicidal thought or something. And I'll make a note on my phone and come back to it in a month or whatever and try and make something out of it.
Just taking little bits from different suicide notes till it's a joke. Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is. Great, we can wrap up soon if you want, mate, because we've been going a while. I don't want to keep.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Yeah, I mean, but thank you. It's been lovely to talk to you. I've probably come into this very low energy and continued as such. I've not made any effort to be funny at any point either, I realise.
I think it's very interesting. I don't care what these fucking animals think. I found it interesting, so that's what does matter. Greg Winfield, he's very funny. Follow him on Instagram and all that stuff, you animals. What I will say is, from the behind the curtain for me, I text you fucking late last night. Of course I was drinking, because I tend to do admin sometimes when I'm 5,000 miles away and drunk. I was like, now I'm going to sort all this shit out that I haven't had time to do. And normally I give you more notice, but also I have an internal anxiety. I don't like asking people. I don't like asking you.
Well, I would love to come back and I'll come back and I'll do. I'll try and be funny next time in vain preparation for my desire to do a panel show.
I enjoyed the last two that we did with George were quite good, I think. So we could get George. I did try and get him today, but he was washing his hair or something. I don't know what excuse he gave me, but try and get someone else. I'll also ask Dave Flynn, but he's got food poisoning. I think they were lying to me.
Oh, bless him.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. He sent me a message this morning and I was hungover. I think he's got food poisoning. And he's all alone, and his girlfriend's gone away for a few days. So, he's very, very sad today. But he's a good boy. Dave runs a couple of nice gigs up in Worcester, actually.
He does. Yes. He's a good lad. Yeah, getting
around quite a bit now. But yeah, it's good. It's good to chat. It's good to think about comedy with a human. It's been nice information for me as well. I will try and do something that isn't shit when I get back from Brazil. So that's
well, I look forward to it. Come and do it in Bristol.
I'll have to get over there. That sounds good to me. I'm in Bristol less now, but I like it. It's good. I'll press end broadcast now, so this will end really, really awkwardly. But yeah, that's Greg Winfield. He's funny, right?